What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're here with our great brother, Wil Shelton. Now, this brother, has vast knowledge about the beauty supply industry and the things that go on with that. That we are big proponents of Black people owning the beauty industry, beauty supply. And this brother, I want to direct some questions at him because we all know, we have seen those videos of Asians putting their hands on Black people. So we need to know why Black folks aren't cornering that market. So, Brother Wil, thanks for joining the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother, how did you get involved in that industry? Because, I haven't really met too many brothers that's, heavily involved in that industry.
Yeah, it's a unique story because, I was in my early 20s. I just got married and I got laid off from one of my jobs. And I went to the salon with my wife one day just for her to get her hair done. And the stylist asked me, hey, I heard you were looking for another job. Have you thought about doing hair or the beauty industry? And I said, no, I never thought about that. But I did want to have the kind of a position where I own my own business and I was a freelancer. So I said, no, I haven't thought about that. But you know what? 3 months later, I enrolled in cosmetology school. And that's how I got into it. And that's how it got into me. And fast forward, 27 years later, I've been licensed for 27 years. I'm no longer in the shop anymore because I started a marketing business, but that's how I got my start. And, I owned my own salon for 10 years as well. So that's how the beauty industry got into me.
All right, brother. So let me ask you this question here. We do see a lot of brothers and sisters having beauty salons, barbershops, etc. But why is it that we aren't seeing that same amount with the beauty supply stores? Why is that?
I think because just the history of it, when I researched it, even looking back 30 years ago, I think we got complacent in the 80s. And I think we just weren't pooling our resources together. I think we weren't thinking outside of the box. I think that a lot of times we just get complacent where we are and we don't look at the opportunities that are around us. So I think a lot of African Americans just got caught up in complacency and maybe just doing hair or owning a hair salon and not the supplier of the beauty products. And we just allowed other ethnicities to take over that industry. And by the time we realized it was too late to kind of jump back in there because 90% of them or more are owned by other ethnicities.
So you said that we kind of got complacent. Well, what do you mean by that? I mean, we just said, I don't want to do the business side. I mean, because something happened, because you go from, the time period of the Black Power movement, I'm Black and I'm proud and all of that, and we had a lot of own businesses to allowing Asians to take that over. Like, what was the link there? How did they do that?
I think they just came in with a plan. I think they came in with the infrastructure. I think they saw a need. I think they saw a possible problem and they came in with a solution and they came in and they were the answer. I think as the African-American community, we did have, maybe some beauty supplies, maybe in the 70s, in the early 80s. But I think that we started looking at other ventures, and when we looked away, other, Asians pretty much looked at it as it was pretty much an open field for them to go into. And, it's kind of like what happened with Blockbuster and Netflix. Those things happen with big businesses too. Sometimes you get complacent or you just get you're just not as agile and nimble, or you're not thinking about the bigger picture. I think maybe we just didn't work together to create that infrastructure. I mean, as African Americans working together to network together. I think that we a lot of times have a problem, and other ethnicities seem to be able to work together and stay connected and build something from the ground up. And it seems like we sometimes we drop the ball somewhere. I'm not sure why.
Well, you brought up a good point. Like in your years of being in business, what do you think that why we can't work together? Because that is a legitimate, point that you made. Sometimes we have, not having trust issues with each other, but what is it? Because we'll trust white folks all day, no matter what they do to us, we just trust them, right?
Mhm.
So what do you think it is with us as Black people? Like, why aren't we just being like other groups, coming in here and saying, you know what, let's work together, let's get somewhere?
I think just going all the way back to slavery and segregation, I believe that we just weren't really given the tools. And I think that we developed a mistrust for each other, although I don't think we really want to be that way. It just feels like there's something there and it could go back to a feeling of inadequacy that's in us a lot of times, or feeling like we don't have the power that we need. Sometimes people don't know how much power they have. The easiest way for people to do that, I think, is to give up their power by not believing they have any in the first place. And I think it goes back to maybe some deep seated inadequacies that's in us, and we project that on other people in our own community. And it's just been kind of a generational thing, I believe. I think it just continues from generation to generation. I feel like now, like the younger generations, because of technology and because they're younger and because they can see more opportunities, and there are more opportunities now, I see them working together more than the old school era. A lot of African Americans that are older, I think that the newer generation, they are working together and building some really strong networks and some really cool businesses and business models.
And that is true. A lot of things that you said is true. And like, I'm just a big proponent of, if we as Black people monetize everything that we create, right? So if
Mhm.
it's the beauty industry, if it's entertainment, if it's news, sports, whatever we may be into as Black people, if we literally just work with each other enough to try to, corner that and just monetize just within our own community, we're gonna cut a lot of people out of a job the moment we do that. Because I'm personally, brother, I'm so sick and tired of watching other groups come in, benefiting off the Black community, and at the same time siding with racists against us or treating us like crap. Like when I watch some videos, or I've reported on them in the past, of different Asian groups, locking Black women in the store, putting them in headlocks, doing all kind of craziness, beating them, and they have no problem doing it because our people will literally don't care and go back to those people like they're selling oxygen.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I think happened too. I think this pandemic changed the dynamics, and I think it changed the insights.
Mhm.
Think of it this way. Me and you both know that Blacks have an outsized influence on everybody else.
Yes,
We
sir.
we we redefine the cultural norms, and I believe we're going to redefine the cultural new normals. And what COVID did is it showed us that we weren't prepared. It not only exposed us to COVID, but COVID exposed the deficits that we had in our businesses and in our lives. So now's the time to step up your game or change the game, and really use the COVID crisis as your ally. I always tell people, why waste a good crisis? So adversity usually introduces a person to themselves. And COVID was like that gymnasium of adversity for us to work out those problems that we never wanted to deal with before. So I think that now that discomfort that we had to overcome has pushed us to another level where we can go to the deep end of the pool, where we can become more nimble, more agile, throw out the old playbook and start changing the game.
Yes, sir. Well, there's a report that recently came out that said that, Black Americans created more businesses during the pandemic than any other group. And I know, and from history, we shine in adversity. It's like when we comfortable, we don't want to do much. But when we are, the foot is on our neck, we being pressed. That's just like when we come out looking like a diamond. And what's happening also, in which those have complained because they think they're entitled to the black dollar, is that many black people say, wait a minute, because when you talk about the pandemic, I don't have to go to Mr. Lee's beauty supply store no more. I can get things on my own. I can make things, people, especially the George Floyd situation, we're focusing more on supporting black business, which you talk about other groups, that's automatic. They don't have to tell each other support Asian businesses, support Arab business. They don't have to do that, right? And I understand our history. We've been taught literally to hate each other. We've been taught that. But now, since we had kind of this, paradigm shift, of course, we still got people that want to be hard-headed. But now we have this paradigm shift with your knowledge. What could black people do in this industry, male, female? We have so many black women. They got MBAs. That should be no-brainers for them to build this big conglomerate of black women and just like literally take what's rightfully theirs.
Well, I think first of all, we get nowhere until we get real. And we got to get real first about what we can do, what's possible. And I think we need to eliminate what I call the possibility blindness that a lot of times people have. And you really got to dig into the perseverance. Perseverance is the hard work that you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. So you got to have those. So you got to really find out what the real DNA of your business is going to be. Find out what makes you stand out so that you can be the choice, not just a choice when it comes to business. You want to be unique because unique is better than better. So you look at those things when you want to start a business and separate yourself from the pack and everybody else doing the same thing. And I think you'll be very successful at that point.
No, but one thing that we got to do, we got to make sure to support, our businesses on purpose. Like we have to say, okay, I'm purposely looking for black owned this, black owned that. Like for me, every time I find a new company, right? Like my washing liquid comes from a black owned company. Yeah. When I go work out, my workout gear now comes from a black owned company. My soap that I use comes from a black owned company. Like I just make sure to we have to, like I said, look for each other on purpose and circle that dollar back into our own communities. And, if somebody want to start let's say a beauty supply store, or let's say beauty supply, salon, etc. Because we kind of got it cornered on salons and barbershops. I mean, they get supported. But even the nail shops, right? I go to a black owned, when I go to get pedicures, right? But why aren't from what like the women aren't cornering that? Because women getting their nails done. So you mean to tell me just only Asian women could do nails? I mean, come on. I know black women are very talented.
Yeah, they are. It's the same thing with the beauty supplies, with the nail shops. People got complacent in the 80s and they allowed other ethnicities and the Asians to come in and take over that business as well. But I think to your point is great. We need to support black owned businesses on purpose. But you know how sometimes we go on social, we'll post everything about what we did that day, the new truck we bought. But what if we use social media and we posted about that black owned, business that we went to, whether it was a plumber or whether it was a restaurant or some of the businesses that you mentioned? What if we posted on social media, go visit that business and gave them good reviews? Imagine how big that would be if we started posting that on purpose.
Yes. And most of the time when I go to some new place, I mostly tell people I'm here in Houston. So thank God we have a lot of, great black businesses and great black professionals right here in Houston, or maybe somebody lives in Atlanta, DC, or wherever we're at. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a firm believer we need to return to, I think we need to migrate all back to the South and get our power base again. That's why our power base was before the Great Migration. because our numbers are so limited. You know, like when you look at LA has opportunity, but numbers wise, we just not there in LA. And that state don't even cater to Black folk like that, you know. But what I'm saying is, you know, when I mentioned the women is the one that's the drivers of the nail business for the most part, of the beauty supply, more than us as men. So, you know, my thoughts is, yes, the businesses need to be created, but also what's going to get that, like, hey, I'm not shopping with these folks no more. I'm only going to shop on my own. If I can't shop on my own, then I shop online. Like, what is it going to take to get to that point?
I think it's just going to take people realizing that, you know, you can really grow your business. You can really be successful if you do that. And I think that it's just going to take someone or people to really be interested in that. Some people, they just don't want to do the hard work that it takes, really. I mean, me and you both know I have my own business, you do too. And some people just aren't wired for it. You know, they don't want to deal with the day-to-day stuff that you got to deal with, and all the things that it takes to not only create a business, but to sustain a business and to position yourself. Because, you know, if you don't position yourself, you're going to get positioned. So I think that maybe if people started taking classes, I think that if more entrepreneurs, you know, offered their services as consultants, and people can go to them and find out, you know, how you become a business and what it takes, I think more people might be open to it if they knew they had the option. A lot of people say, hey, I want to have my own business. And you ask them, what kind of business do you want? And then they'll tell you, I don't know, I just want my own business. You know, so maybe there's some education that needs to be done, you know, to spread the word, and for people to come in some types of classes and education on ownership of nail shops, of beauty supplies. I don't think probably there's enough of that.
Yeah, and that's also very important. We need to have workshops and things like that where people can get that, you know, information, get the plug, and things like that. I'm just very, like I say, I'm very, you know, concerned about that. I just don't like to watch other groups just benefit off of us, and then we're sitting up there, you know, don't have jobs, don't have this and that. But literally, the jobs are literally right there in our community. We just, like you said, we got to put in the hard work, and we got to create them. But I always told people is what, you know, Magic Johnson has always said. He said that, you know, if you find something you love, and then whatever you love to do, even when you're willing to do it for free, create a business around it. And he said you won't even feel like you're working.
Exactly. You just have to find those opportunities and those things that where you have a solution for a problem. A lot of times people don't understand that part of it. Like, you know, there's lots of things that you can become innovative with, and you can go out there and, you know, usually opportunity doesn't knock on your door. It stands there silently waiting for you to recognize it.
Correct. You know, sometimes you got to kick that door down. I've learned that over the years that nobody's going to come give you anything. Nobody. You know, even just people, well, I'm waiting on God, not God waiting on you, brother or sister.
Yeah.
You know, you got to step out there, and then he'll meet you halfway. That's what I always say. So, you know, Brother Wil, tell people, you know, how they can get to your website and any products that you have, because some people may have some questions for you because you have some expertise in that industry.
Yeah, you can go to my website, Wil with 1lpowermarketing.com. I also have a new book out called The Silent Agreement. You can go to thesilentagreement.com and look at maybe purchasing the book. It talks about the silent agreement and the illusion of inclusion in Black corporate America. You can also DM me at the letter M, Willpower, on Instagram, and you can reach out to me. And, you know, those are the best ways to do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you contact our great brother, Wil Shelton here. We'll put his contact info down below in that pinned comment. So, brother, thank you for joining us on the show today to discuss with us, you know, some things that we really need to focus on and do, because, like I said, that beauty industry is very, very important, and it's literally billions of dollars sitting on the table for us, but we just need to go get it.
Yeah, you know, we may not get everything we fight for, but everything we get will be a fight.